Peter Aldous.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. My right honourable friend, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, is quite right to be focusing on improving the UK's economic activity, where, as we've heard, we should be doing much, much better. We have a flexible labour market, which it is vital that we do not imperil, but we also need a long-term strategy for investments in skills and in infrastructure so that our economy can move into top gear, we can compete globally with the highest performing economies, and we can bring prosperity to all corners of the United Kingdom. Mr Deputy Speaker, there are measures in this budget which are particularly welcome and which will help improve our economic performance. The 2p reduction in the national insurance contributions and the increase in the child benefit threshold remove barriers to work. It is also vital that we secure investment for the businesses of tomorrow. The £1 billion for the renewable electricity auction allocation round 6, the £270 million of combined government and industry investment into research and development projects in the automotive and aerospace industries, and the £120 million for the Green Industries Growth Accelerator, these will all help achieve this. Mr Deputy Speaker, in almost every budget, it is important to be wary of and to guard against unintended consequences. And there are two which I will briefly highlight from last Wednesday. Firstly, I do understand the rationale for extending the sunset clause on the energy profits levy. But there is a real concern that this will deflect and deter investment for the industries of tomorrow. I'm thinking offshore wind, carbon capture and hydrogen. These industries are so vital to enhancing our energy security, bringing jobs to coastal communities and to delivering our net zero targets. I am concerned that as the levy proposals stand, that this could deter that vital investment. And for my part, I shall be studying closely the provisions of the Spring Finance Bill, and I would urge the government to re-engage with industry at every opportunity. Secondly, I give way to my honourable friend.
Mr Deputy Speaker, I thank the honourable member for giving way. His point about offshore renewables is very important. Does he agree with me that we must ensure as a nation that we actually construct these floating wind turbines in the UK rather than overseas?
I'm most grateful to the honourable gentleman for that intervention. And yes, I would agree that we should. I think if you look at the offshore wind sector deal, which was signed back in 2019, there is progress in that perspective in building local supply chains. I hear him doubt, and I share, I think, his doubt to a degree, but there is still a lot more work to do. And on that manufacturing side of things, I think I would agree with him, there is longer perhaps on other aspects of those local supply chains. I'm grateful to him for making that intervention. Secondly, Mr Deputy Speaker, I likewise acknowledge why the decision has been made to abolish the furnished letting concession. There are areas of the country where holiday lets are badly distorting the local property market, and we heard that from my honourable friend, the member for the cities of London and the Westminster, who's no longer in her place. She made that point very clearly. But there are many other areas of the country where it is not distorting the local property market, and holiday lets are a vitally important part of those local economies where there are limited other job-creating opportunities. These are quite often in rural areas, and restrictions and limitations in the opportunity to diversify your business. I would also point out that many of these properties are subject to planning conditions which will prevent them from becoming available for occupation full-time on the open market. Therefore, Mr Deputy Speaker, I do feel that it's very important to be cognizant of the full impact of this proposal before proceeding, and I see my honourable friend the Minister is listening, and I think we do need a full impact assessment of that proposal before it advances. Mr Deputy Speaker, to remove that stubborn productivity gap, it is vital to invest in skills and in infrastructure. With such initiatives as the local skills improvement plans and lifelong learning, the government has rightly recognised the importance of providing people of all ages with the opportunity to acquire the skills that are needed for those many new emerging industries that are coming forward. At the current time, Mr Deputy Speaker, further education colleges and trainers face obstacles in recruiting staff, not being able to recover VAT, and supporting those needing to catch up in their learning as a result of COVID. It was therefore disappointing that there were no measures to address these challenges announced last week. From an East of England perspective, investment in infrastructure is vital if the region is to realise its full potential. In this respect, it is vital for funds to be made available straight away so that work on the Ely and Hawley Junction rail improvements can begin without any further delay. There were welcome announcements, Mr Deputy Speaker, on this in the autumn statement. There is concern locally that government perhaps might be in reverse ferret on this particular issue, and I hope again my concerns can be allayed. Also on infrastructure, the Norfolk and Suffolk coast this winter has taken a battering like it hasn't seen for a very long time. In my own constituency in Lowestoft, at Pakefield and at Kessingland, this undermines investment in the town centre, in the port and in the tourism industry on those vitally important leisure parks and caravan parks. Schemes have been prepared to protect the people and their property, and it is vital that these projects get underway as quickly as possible. Mr Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, the government are right to be sticking to the plan to halve inflation, to grow the economy and to reduce debt. There are, as I've said, some welcome initiatives in the budget which I believe will help achieve these goals. But all around the UK, and from my perspective, particularly in East Anglia, we do need to be pressing ahead with that strategic investment in both people, that's flesh and blood, and also in concrete and steel in infrastructure. Thank you.
Very much. Dan Carden.